Well, good evening, everyone, and welcome to the halftime main break show brought to you by Crowcast. A very interesting match so far, and made all the more interesting by a couple of late goals to the Doggies. The last one just on halftime. The Crows have looked good for the majority of the first half, but only 3 points of difference on the scoreboard. 5 goals, 5 Adelaide at halftime to the Western Bulldogs, 4 goals, 8. 32, a margin of 3 points. Some of the head-to-head stats we've got here, certainly Western Bulldogs have had more of the ball, 211 disposals to 178, both teams kicking far more than handballing as you'd expect in this disastrous weather. We're taking far more marks around the ground, which is surprising, 36 to 24 up to half-time. Tackles, we're on track for a 100-tackle game, which is excellent from the Crows. 50 tackles to 48 from the Bulldogs. It's just been reflective of what a hard slog it's really been. Sauce doing well in the hit-outs, 21 to 14. Freeze fairly even, 10 to 8. Our disposals per goal, as you'd expect on a night like tonight, is quite high, 35.5, but much better than the Bulldogs, 52. Disposals per scoring shot at an acceptable 17.8, and it's around about that mark for both sides. The Bullies have had it inside 50 more often, 33 to 26, but we've certainly had numbers back throughout that first half, and for the majority of the first half, particularly that spell of about 5 to 10 minutes midway through the second when the Bulldogs were piling on a bit of pressure. We certainly had pretty much 18 players behind the ball and probably a couple of runners and boot stutters and everything else clogging up the Bulldogs forward 50, and they weren't able to score. So not many standout statistics in that lot, really. It's been just a really even contest from both clubs, really. The commitment has been good. Both teams had their chances at various stages throughout the first half. And I think this game really is going to be a matter of who decides to, take their chances when they're on offer. Sorry, my web page here with all the stats has just decided to slow down a little bit, so I'll keep padding it out. Vardy on the chat mentions throws. Unbelievable, really. The amount of throws that you can see blatantly on the TV from the Bulldogs has just been a bit horrendous. I don't understand with 3 umpires out there why they can't pick that sort of stuff up. Anyway, we'll go to some individual stats because the head-to-head stats are being a bit... here we go. What have we got here? Yeah, inside 50s. Here we go. Contested possessions, around about even. Bulldogs slightly up, 97 to 90. Uncontested possessions, the Bulldogs also up 114 to 104. As I mentioned, marks were way in front. Contested marks were also in front, 7 to 2. Marks inside 56 to 4. Really everything else is pretty even. Intercept possessions is even. Turnovers is even. Clearances were getting smashed, 22-11. Despite the inclusion of Scott Thompson, which was supposed to give us a bit of a hard body inside. The centre clearances were even, but the stoppage clearances were getting absolutely pantsed, 18 to 7. And given our ruck dominance, that's a little bit of a disappointing statistic. Let's look at some individual stats up until half time. And goodness me, I don't know whether it's the weather, but this website is particularly slow. So we'll just go to our backup plan. And here we are. We've got Rory Sloane, particularly in that first half, was immense in that first half, and ended up, he's had 14 disposals to half-time, 7 kicks, 7 handballs. They're not tagging him hard. He's had 3 tackles. He's 7 contested possessions, 3 clearances, 1 contested mark, 4 inside 50s. It's a real welcome return to form for Rory Sloane. And it just shows that when this is the reason why teams tag him, because when he's not tagged, he can do some damage. And the thing that I've liked most about Rory Sloane's first half is that he's actually been present at various areas of the ground. We've seen him lead up across half-back when the ball's coming out of our defence. We've seen him inside 50. as well as around the stoppage. And that's where Rory is going to get on top of whoever's trying to keep him quiet, just through his tank and his willingness to work. I thought the two crouch boys were pretty good. Brad's on 12 with 5 and 7, 4 tackles, 2 inside 50s. And Matt's on 12 as well, 4 and 8. He's also had a couple of marks, a tackle, 1 inside 50. Both of those boys working really hard. They've had the 6 contested possessions. Brad's going at 75 disposal efficiency, Matt at 83. Brad's also had a couple of clearances as well. It's been really good from both of those in the clinches. I thought Riley Knight in particular has been more than serviceable so far in this match. Just trying to get his stats here. He's only had the 8 touches, but he's been given a bit of a job, I think, on Johannesson at times, a running with role. He's had 3 and 5, 3 marks as well, a couple of tackles. And I just feel that his energy around the ball has been really good. He's had 4 contested possessions. He's got 100% disposal efficiency, no mean feat in the wet, and a clearance as well. So Riley Knight's been looking good. Jerker Jenkins has been good up forward, 6 and 2 with 5 marks already, a couple of goals, a tackle, a couple of hit-outs in the ruck. Jenkins, this is the sort of energy that we love to see from Jenkins, and he's been pivotal for us as a target up forward. Really good to see. 6 contested possessions, 2 contested marks, 4 marks inside 50, which is what we want, and have also seen him down back when required as well. So excellent. The other forward who I'd really like to give a bouquet to is Tex Walker. First time for a long time we've seen him come out with so much energy and passion. And he's really making his presence felt. He's had the 11 touches, 6 and 5. He's had the 4 marks, a couple of tackles. He's kicked a goal. He's had 4 inside 50s. He's had the 8 contested possessions. He's going at 90% disposal efficiency, a couple of contested marks, a mark inside 50. And some of his gives have just been vintage Tex Walker. The one over his head to set Douglas on his way was really good. And the kicking inside 50 that nearly resulted in a goal as well later on has been really good. People that have been, or players that have been a little disappointing. Before we get to that, I also reckon that Rory Atkins has been pretty good this match too. He started the game well, and whilst he had that 1 turnover, I think seeing him get involved and particularly laying tackles is what we need from Rory. He's had the 8 kicks, 2 handballs for 10 posies. Couple of marks, a goal, 2 tackles, as I mentioned. He's also, where are we? Rory Atkins, where are you? Where'd you go? Here we are. 6 contested possessions, 70% disposal efficiency, a couple of clearances. The type of energy that we need to see from Rory, and getting involved around the contest and not just waiting for the outside ball. So that's been very good. Brody Smith also has been quite good, 7 and 1 for 8 touches, 2 marks, kicked it behind, a couple of inside 50s. He's also been pretty good. Look, I don't know whether the Scott Thompson experiment has worked so far. He's been caught a couple of times and looks a little bit off the pace. He's had 3 kicks, 3 handballs for 6, taken a mark, 3 tackles, 2 inside 50s. 4 contested possessions. He's going 100% disposal efficiency because he's not really doing much except shoving it out. And 1 clearance as well. Just looks a little bit off the pace, Scott. He might work his way into it a little bit more in the second half, but at the moment, not giving us a huge amount. I think Jake Kelly is also really struggling. Jake Kelly, only the 6 handballs. He's also had 6 tackles, though, so he's working hard defensively. But only the 2 contested possessions, and got turned inside out at one stage there, and just looks to be a little bit rushed with his thinking and his decision making, and doesn't look very clean at all. Eddie Betts is showing us some energy, and it's nice to see Eddie up the ground. And I'll talk about this in a minute. Eddie's got 6 and 2 for 8, 3 marks, 1 goal, 1 tackle, a couple of inside 50s. The thing that I like the most about how we're playing at the moment is how high our forward line's playing at the moment. We're really looking to stretch the Bulldogs on the rebound. The Bulldogs look a little slow when we've got the ball, and it's only been through some turnovers in our forward 50 that they've been able to get the ball back. But our structure looks good. We're pushing up. We're crowding the defensive half of the ground when they have the ball. And the only real disappointing thing is that the Bulldogs are still in it. I felt like at times we let them get to the ball first, particularly around the ground clearances. I feel like that's where they've actually been able to stay in the game by getting first use out of the clearances around the ground, out of the stoppages. And yeah, if we can tighten up around stoppage and just not let them get that outlet so easily. Both teams are trying to keep their forward lines as open as possible, and certainly if we allow them to get the ball free with that second disposal, we're caught a bit out of position. Redpath is doing okay. Stringer looks a little dangerous. Haven't seen a lot from who's the other one? Dowhouse, really. He's only had the 4 kicks and 5 handballs. But he could come into the game as well. But Bontempelli is looking dangerous. Suckling is off the chain a bit. He's had 16 touches. McLean's had 19 touches already at half-time for a game high. So they've got a few movers and shakers there that are getting quite a bit of the ball. And I just feel as if we need to tighten up around the contest in order to make sure that they don't get some cheap goals. Because really we should be 2 or 3 in front. And the fact that they got those last couple in the second quarter keeps them in the game. And, the longer we keep them in the game, the more dangerous it becomes. Just looking at some comments on the chat here. Vardy comments that these are Dougie's conditions and he needs to lift. He hasn't had a huge game, Vardy, has he? He's only had the 5 kicks and doesn't really look like he's contributing. Miller, I reckon, has been relatively quiet. A couple of flashy things, but certainly need more from him. PJ Crows says we need a season-defining third quarter from every player, and that's exactly true. We do need this is a pivotal quarter for both clubs. Bulldogs, you could almost say their season is just about on the line here, and the Crows would be looking to really shore up a top 2 spot and perhaps sit on top at the end of this round, depending on how results go down in Tasmania. So it's a massive third quarter for both clubs. The weather doesn't look like it's going to do us any more favours. We're going to have to tough it out, and I just want to see us around the stoppages be a little bit tighter. We're all crashing in, and we're allowing them the outlet pass. So we need to be clever about how we work around the stoppages. We need to shut down a couple of their ball carriers in McRae, McLean, and Bontempelli and Suckling. But it looks like the intent is there. It looks like the energy is there, so we do those little things well, and I'm more confident than I was at the beginning of the match that we might get this one over the line. Anyway, guys, I'm going to leave it there. Kudos to everyone who's at the ground tonight. I don't know what the crowd is, but it looks like a dirty night. So for the people that are there, well done to you guys. For the rest of us sitting at home, watch TV. Keep your remotes tied down, and let's hope for a big second half from the Crows. See you on Sunday night for the wrap.